And we also want to walk you through the timeline. Saturday morning, investigators say the passengers met the pilot in the Walmart parking lot in San Marcos at 5:45. Then they all rode together to the launch site at Fentress Air Park. The launch time was set for about 6:45 a.m., but the NTSB says there was a 20-minute delay. They're still trying to figure out why. Less than 1 hour later, at 7:42 a.m., investigators say the LCRA reported a power line trip. Exactly 1 minute later, at 7:43 a.m., a 911 call was made. The NTSB says the balloon went down about 8 miles from where it took off. Authorities discovered the basket called the gondola underneath utility lines about 2 miles east of Maxwell. The balloon was in a different spot almost a mile northeast of where the basket landed. A KXAN investigator Brian Collister tracked down the exact spot where the balloon took off. He's been looking into what may have caused the accident with some help from a pilot who flew over the crash site today.
Vic Crucy has seen this balloon take off many times. He just missed Saturday's launch when he showed up for work at Skydive San Marcos here at Fentress Air Park. Today, he was descended upon by authorities investigating the crash.
I've been visited by the NTSB, the FAA, public safety has been here as well.
Early Saturday before sunrise, pilot Skip Nichols and his crew brought their pickup trucks through this mud, making these tracks as they hauled their balloon and their passengers to this field at the end of the runway at this private air park. Caldwell County State Representative and pilot John Cyrier flew over the crash site this afternoon and has his own theory on why the pilot was so low.
I would assume that he was coming in for a landing. I have seen that plane, or excuse me, I've seen that balloon land in that area, in that general vicinity before.
And he thinks the bad weather was also a key factor that morning.
Even here at this airport, here at Lockhart, there was several people that were going to go up for lessons and have flight instruction, and they canceled their flights. One of the flights was even later. It was supposed to be at 9:30 yesterday morning, and because of the low ceilings, the low cloud covers, they canceled that flight.
The NTSB says there's been at least one other accident involving the same type of balloon recorded since 2011. In all, the agency has recorded 60 accidents, 6 of them fatal since 2011. And there are more than 100 of these same balloons registered in the U.S. Brian Collister, KXAN Investigates.
And Phil Prazen joining me now. You've been digging into the pilot's background. What have you learned?
Well, Aaron, Alfred Nichols went by Skip to pretty much everyone I spoke with today. I looked into his FAA records and spoke to people who knew Skip to get a better sense of his experience. The FAA says he's been certified as a commercial pilot since 2014, but he could only pilot hot air balloons with an airborne heater. And records show he lived in St. Louis, Missouri when the license was issued. According to the FAA website, to get a license, you have to get 70% right on a multiple choice test. Usually for a commercial license, you have to log 250 hours of flight time, but for a balloon, you only need 35 hours of time in the air. And you must also pass a test with an official pilot examiner. Earlier today, I went to his neighborhood in Kyle. His neighbors tell me he moved to this house with a roommate in the past 2 or 3 years. They told me he was your stereotypical good neighbor, kept the grass cut, waved as he walked by, or rode his skateboard. They saw him store the basket and other balloon equipment in his garage, but now the NTSB is looking into his records.
Tomorrow, our plan is to interview the ground crew. They've been busy trying to collect the maintenance records for us, which I understand are in Houston.
And at his house today, I spoke with 2 of his co-workers, one from here in Texas, one from Missouri. They told me since the NTSB is interviewing them tomorrow, they couldn't go on camera, but we will continue to look for any other details to find out exactly what happened Saturday morning.
All right, thank you so much, Phil. And the NTSB expects to release a preliminary report by next week. Tomorrow, investigators will be interviewing members of the chase team. They're the ones who follow the balloon on the ground and help it land safely. They will also be looking at 14 electronic devices recovered from the crash site, cell phones, cameras, and an iPad. The NTSB is also asking anyone with pictures pictures or video of the balloon yesterday morning to email it to this address, witness@ntsb.gov. Our coverage of yesterday